What's up, everybody? This is David Townsend. Welcome to part 2 of Becoming the Right Person. Last time we talked about influence, and we really talked about how to get people to follow you. We went over 4 characteristics: vision, and then we talked about certainty, and then we talked about integrity and care. Those were the 4 characteristics of influential people. So we were talking about what is influence last time. Today we're going to talk about how to develop influence. So now that we know those 4 characteristics, we're going to dive right into how can you apply that right now and grow influence and develop it immediately to get people to want to follow you. I've got a quote. I want you to write it down. If you want to attract people, you must first become attractive. I could equate this to relationships. If you think about it, we're all kind of looking for the one. You want to, find Mrs. Right, Mr. Right, and if you're married already, already found them. But remember back when you didn't have that person, you were looking for them. And most of you guys, you've got your little list of, this is what I'm looking for, and what they're going to look like, what they're going to be like. You've got all this stuff, and you got the dream girl, dream guy, all picked out, right? I do too. And when you do that, right, you've got this whole list going. But I want you to think about this. We can make that list, and that's awesome, and you absolutely want that. But at the same time, have you ever thought about how that person has probably also got their own list, and they're probably thinking the same thing. They're looking for their dream person. And so they've got all these non-negotiables and what they're going to look like, what they're going to be like, all that stuff. They've got their dream person listed out too. And if you've got really high goals, if you've got a really, big list of stuff that you're looking for, then you've got to understand that you need to be the person that they would want to be with. Because imagine meeting that person. Like, what if that person actually came around? Mr. Right walked in the door, Mrs. Right walked in the door, and you weren't ready for them because they had worked on themselves and they had all the stuff that you were looking for, but you didn't have all the stuff that they were looking for, and so you missed out on the biggest opportunity of your life because you didn't work on yourself like you should have. You weren't ready for that person. See, that happens every night of the week in this business. I'm telling you right this second. Every night of the week, aces are walking into presentations, into your travel party, and they're walking out if you're not ready for them. See, that person, the person that you're looking for, the person that you want to attract into your business and the leaders you're looking for, they're not going to want to work with you if you're not the person that they're looking for. And so you must be attractive if you want to attract other people. That's what this entire talk is going to be about, is attracting other people into your life and how to become the person that they want to follow and how to develop that influence. So we're going to really recap those 4 characteristics, and then I'm going to give you some good how-tos on exactly how to develop those 4 characteristics into your life right now. So we'll just jump into them. Number 1 was vision. I'm not going to go over all these. Okay, you can just watch the last video if you want to recap on what I kind of talked about with these 4 characteristics. I'm just going to give you more of right now how to develop them in your own life. So vision, and here's what I want to ask you is, what is your vision? I mean, honestly, like if I was just hanging out with you right now and I asked you, hey, what's your 1-year vision? What would you tell me? Hey, what's your 5-year vision? Could you tell me that stuff? And if you can't, I want you to get that dialed in right away. Every great leader can cast vision on where they're going. Eric Grabowski says in a lot of his old audios that every single time he was showing the presentation to somebody, especially in the beginning, he was telling every single one of them after the presentation, I'm putting 10,000 people in this company. And he said it with that type of excitement. And so he was casting vision for people every day of the week by doing that. And so what is your vision? And here's what I want you to do. Is I want you to develop a 1-year vision, a 5-year vision, and an end game vision. And I want you to write them down. So that's step number 1 for you, is to write those things down. And then what I want you to do is I want you to practice them by sharing them with people. So when you're at a presentation, when you're done doing that presentation, I want you to tell those people your vision for where you're going. If you're at Starbucks and you're sitting down across from somebody and you just show them the presentation, I want you to immediately, after the presentation's done, tell them where you are going. That's what they care about. That's what they want to know, is where are you going? Because they can't really follow you if they don't even know where you're going. You have to have a target. And so you have to have that type of vision. 1 year, 5 year, End game. That's what I want you to develop today. Write it out. Take some time to do that. The second part to vision is, see, a great leader doesn't see people as they are. They see people for what they could be. I want you to really think about that. Like the best leaders out there, Wayne Nugent is amazing at this. Wayne Nugent has a knack for never really seeing people for what they are currently, but he sees them for who they could be. And so he's treating them not based on who they are right now, but who they are going to be in the future. And when you do that, you give people a lot of hope. And they start believing it because that's your expectation for them. So I want you to start to develop not only a vision for where you're going and where you're taking your team, but also what is your vision for the people that you are leading? And where do you see their lives being in the next 1 year, 5 years? And I want you to really cast that for them. I remember in the beginning when I was broke and I wasn't making any money doing this thing at all and I was pretty frustrated, I would get on the phone with Don Morton. Don Morton is an IMD in the company, top 20 earner. He's pretty much the guy who taught us a lot of the stuff that we wanted to, or what we knew about the business in the beginning. And I would get on the phone with Don, and Don would basically do nothing other than just cast vision for where we were going to be in the future. It was like I would tell him, man, Don, this is going on, stuff's not working out, blah, blah, blah. And then he'd just be like, oh, that's cool. Man, I can't wait. Because think about this for a second. In a few years from now, you guys are going to be like the Byron Schroggs, the Troy. He just started to build vision for us, and he was telling us what life was going to be like in the future, and it would get me so fired up. It would build that excitement right back into me again by building that vision for me. So I want you to do that as well. I want you to pick out 5 people that are in your team that you can cast vision for them and start to really cast a vision for their life. And I want you to call them up, and I want you to do that for them. Practice casting vision. Okay, second characteristic is certainty. Now, again, certainty, very simple concept. Okay, you just need to be confident with what you're saying, because honestly, if you're going to tell someone your vision, but you're not certain about it, they're not going to buy it. You've got to have certainty with everything that you say. And so that's a pretty simple concept, but I'm going to give you some concrete things that you can really work out. And with certainty comes congruency. See, if you want to be certain and you want to come off certain to someone else, you have to have congruency in 3 areas. Number 1 is your words. Number 2 is your tonality. And then number 3 is your physiology. Here's what those things mean. Those are just fancy words for body language, how you say things, and what you say. Okay, so what you say, how you say it, and your body language is what matters. I'll give you an example. Like, how many of you guys have had somebody in the past maybe come up to you and tell you sorry, but when they say sorry, like maybe it was like your sister or something when you were younger, and they'll come up to you and they'll say sorry, but at the same time, it's like they say it like this. They're going, I'm sorry, or I'm sorry. When they say it like that, there's zero. How much congruency is there? I might be saying the words, but my tonality, my body language is completely, that's a load of crap. So you're not buying it. That doesn't feel good to you. You're like, I know that's not true, so you don't buy it. It's because there was no congruency. See, it's got to be your body language, how you say things, along with the words that gets congruency. When I tell you, listen, I am sorry, that is congruent. It's the body language and all those other things with it. So when you're casting vision for somebody, you might be saying the words, but unless you can be confident and how you're saying it is confident, then you're going to be losing people. So you've got to build that. And you might be watching this video going, David, I don't know how to do that. I don't have that type of certainty. I can't just say things like that. I don't know if I can ever do that. Just understand that this is a process. Here's the key to you gaining certainty. You do it over and over and over and over and over and over again until you can gain certainty. That's all I know how to do, is you just repeat it. Repetition is the mother of all skill. That's all I know. So you just have to build repetition over repetition. So I'm telling you, every presentation that you do, I want you to cast vision every time for people and practice certainty every time. And I promise you, maybe the first couple times you do it, you're going to be like, oh my God, I don't even believe myself. But over time, you're going to get really good at this, and that certainty is just going to be in you, because over time you're going to say it to yourself enough times where, man, you're like, man, I believe this. I know this is true. And you build the certainty right into yourself by repetition. Number 3 characteristic is integrity. This is so big. We talked about integrity last time about being this. What you say and what you do is the same. You're not different. That people can trust you because when you say something, you do it at the same time. So it's congruent, and that's what integrity is all about. Is basically you're always the same person. You do what you say and you say what you do. They're all the same. So with that, I want to give you another quote that is huge along with casting vision. Okay, so here's the quote. I would absolutely write this down. The only difference between casting vision and telling a lie is the action you put behind it. I'm going to say it again. The only difference between casting vision and telling a lie is the action you put behind it. And that action is what builds integrity. I'm just going to be real with you. Some of you are showing the presentation right now, and you're not getting people to sign up. And the reason you're probably not getting people to sign up with you is because they ain't buying what you're saying. You don't have integrity with them, because you might be saying it, but they're going, yeah, well, you also said this back in the day, and you never did that. You didn't do this. You didn't follow through when you told me this, blah, blah, blah. And they're going through all the things that you've said in the past that you never did. And because you didn't follow up on those things or follow through those things and back them up, they don't believe you because you don't have integrity. See, the only way that you can get people to follow you is to get people to trust you. And you build trust through integrity. And you build integrity by doing the things that you say. Never say something you can't back up. And while I'm telling you this, I promise you, just please understand, I don't have this stuff all figured out, guys. I'm working on this stuff just like you are. So just know that I'm reminding myself of how much I need to work on these things, because this is a lifelong process of growing in these areas. But this is it. This is the bottom line of what creates influence with other people. You want other people to follow you? Gain integrity with them by doing what you say. So a lot of people, they might not be signing up with you right this second, but here's the deal. The good example is actually my family. Hannah, my little sister, didn't sign up with me for 3.5 years. She took 3.5 years to sign up with me. Still can't believe that, but she took that long because she didn't really believe me in the beginning. But here's what I did. And my mom and dad, they signed up with me, but I think it's just because they felt bad. But they at least got a spot on the team, and they didn't do anything with it because they didn't really know whether or not I was going to really follow through. So here's what I did. A lot of you guys are having family and friends that you're showing this to, and you really want them to do this, but you just don't have integrity with them, and so they're going, I don't know, and they're watching you. And you have the chance right now to build integrity with them by doing what you say. So when you cast vision, if somebody does not follow you, you are in a place right now where you have the opportunity to build integrity or to wreck it even more. And here's how this is going to be determined. What you do from here. Because again, the only difference between casting vision and telling a lie is the action you put behind it. I promise you, if you go do what you said you're going to go do, watch all these other people that you used to show call you back and want to do it with you because you casted vision and then you followed through with it and you built integrity. And when people see that you actually followed through with what you said, they want to be a part of that deal all day long. That's how you build integrity with other people. Number 4 is care. Care just means this, the golden rule. And actually, the golden rule, if you didn't know this, comes from the Bible. And the Bible is, if you didn't know this, it's actually the #1 best-selling book on Earth, in planet Earth history. So it's a pretty good book. You know, I recommend you picking it up. And there's a book in the Bible called Matthew, and I'm just going to read a scripture from there. It's Matthew 7:12. And by the way, if this isn't your belief, I'm not trying to press what I believe on you, but just take the meaning from this, because this is amazing. This is what Matthew 7:12 says. So whatever you wish that others would do to you, do also unto them. That's the golden rule. And then Matthew 23:11 says this, the greatest among you shall be your servant. See, that almost doesn't make sense, because most people are assuming the greatest among you shall be, the king, the emperor, the person with authority, the dictator. It's not any of those things. It's the servant. Why is that? Because people follow others who will care and who will give to you. That is how you build it. So With the golden rule and with that other scripture, I just wanted to share this with you guys. But really, we have to show people that we care because, again, they won't trust you unless they know that you care about them. Love equals sacrifice. I want you to write that down. Love equals sacrifice. Here's what I mean by that. If you really want to show somebody that you love them, the best way to do it is to sacrifice for them. And so if you're thinking about this going, man, David, well, how do I show somebody that I really do care? The best way that I can recommend you do that is actually do something that kind of is hard for you to do. Like give them something of yours, whether it be your time, I don't know, whatever it is for you, but whatever it is that you give them, it's got to be a sacrifice. It's actually got to be kind of hard for you to do because you're going, dang, this is hard for me to give them because this means something to me. I'm actually giving something up that I really care about. And if you're really busy and you're doing a lot of things and you give somebody an hour of your time or you call someone and you spend a couple minutes on the phone with them just checking in and asking how they're doing, that is something that is hard for you to do, but that's exactly what will build love for them. That's what shows love because you just sacrificed for that person. That's how we do it is we do what we would want other people to do for us. And if you can really start to focus on ways that you can show other people that you care and do it in a selfless way, it's got to be genuine. It can't just be like, okay, well, I'm going to do it just because I want them to follow me, and that's the only reason. Because if it's selfish and that's it, I'm telling you, they're going to read right through that. It's got to be something that you really genuinely care about them for. And it could be something simple. I want you to also understand that this is simple. You could just, again, give them a phone call and just ask somebody how they're doing or send a thank you note. Just do something that's simple. The last thing I want to say is this. Influencers give all the credit away and they take all the blame. So anytime that something great happens, even if it was totally you that did it, I want you to give away the credit. Lorenzo is a great example of this. That guy is always giving away all the credit. He could take a lot of the credit for himself, but he won't. He always gives it away to somebody else. You want people to follow you? Give them the credit for what happens. And I'm telling you, it's going to be reversed from what you want. You're going to want to take the credit. You're going to want to feel significant. But I'm telling you, when you give up what you care about and you sacrifice for someone else, that's what shows them that you care. And on the flip end of that, if something wrong goes on, if something negative happens, and you know it wasn't you, do not blame anyone else. You take the blame. You just take the rap for it, man. And when you do that, again, people are going to fall in love with you because of that reason, because you're that type of person. No pride or ego. You can't have it. So those are the 4 things that I want you to focus on, and I just gave you some ways that you can immediately start to apply this stuff into your life and build influence with other people. Guys, I love you. Have an amazing day. We'll talk to you next week.